your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
I'm Mike Hebert, owner of Cantex Roofing and Construction. Every day is game day, and we'll get it right when it comes to your roofing, construction, windows, and mirrors. Call Cantex Roofing and Construction today. Together, we are one serving you.
All right, we've talked about this bracket a little bit, Jamie. Your thoughts on everybody playing back to back, the winners today that are trying to advance to Saturday.
I just think it would be really difficult to ask Oklahoma State, who finished up at 1:00 last night, to play at noon today.
Yeah, I get you. Yeah, and that's probably the end of the answer right there, isn't it?
That's the reasoning.
Yeah. But it's and maybe teams would rather just go ahead and get their Capri Sun and their orange slices and whatever it is that they have in between games and go ahead and play game 2 right away. Maybe that might be the. Yeah.
I don't think the hard part is for the players being tired playing back to back. I think the hard part in playing doubleheaders is having enough quality arms to use, and so either way, you got to do it. Mm-hmm. So I think either way you're going to play 2 games no matter what, right? In one day. So I don't think there's a massive advantage to the arms using the guys and then giving them 3 or 4 hours off to watch another game. That's just not the way it works. I mean, you need days of rest matter, not extra hours of rest. And so that's why I just think the overwhelming thought of a team finishing up late and having to be, back at the ballpark in, less than 8 hours or something, and then be on the field, they want to avoid that.
That makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Okay, here's this is probably a stupid thought or a dumb thought. And I even used that comment with 2 of my brothers this week on an idea that I had, and they actually said it was a good idea. So I'm kind of 1 for 72 on these thoughts. But so maybe you'll look at this and go, maybe so. Do you think they would consider Coach Tadlock and Coach Gardner of starting either Jacob Rogers or Josh Sanders today and truly kind of pitching it backwards and having one of those 2 guys trying to get you 2 innings and just get you started off on the right foot?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would more likely be Jacob Rogers. I think you'd like to save Josh Sanders a little bit. But, yeah, absolutely. And Rogers is a guy that started a few games last year. Heck, he started 1 game in Arlington this year. I think the Oregon State game, as a matter of fact. So I wouldn't be shocked if Jacob Rogers was the guy that they ran out there to start today. That's only if Mac Hewers is not up to it.
Yeah, I saw him in the dugout last night. They showed him. I mean, they showed the dugout, and he just happened to be in the picture. It wasn't like they were talking about him or showing him or anything. And I wondered. I was like, well, he's in the dugout as opposed to in the bullpen. But I don't know if that really means anything with regard to him, just because he's more of a starter than coming out of the pen, and they may have those guys in the dugout more so than in the bullpen.
But remember, at the beginning of the season, he was a bullpen arm. So, I wouldn't look too much into him being in the dugout.
Yeah, that's kind of what I thought. But then I thought, well, it's good that he's there. That was the other thought that I had.
And you were certain it was number 48, not number 42? Because the faces of him and Kyle Robinson look very similar.
It was. They showed his back, and it had Hewer on the back. So yeah. So yeah. So I was like, okay, then that's a fair question, but because it was his back, and I saw Hewer there, I was like, okay, didn't take much to put 2 and 2 together on that one.
Kyle Robinson even told me once this year, I think I could share this, that their girlfriends thought they looked very similar.
Oh, okay. What do you think about Ryan Free's beard?
It's interesting. It's big, and bold and beautiful and all that good stuff. It looks itchy to me, but that's kind of Ryan. I'm assuming you probably didn't see it last night, but this was as typical could be. After the game, they run a board out there where the players one of the players gets to put the Texas Tech, sticker on the board on the bracket and to move on. And Ryan Free being a left-handed pitcher, and we all know they're a different type.
Yeah.
His basically made an X on the bracket. It was not straight at all. It was as crooked as it could possibly be.
Do you think left-handed pitchers and the quirkiness that they bring to things transpires into left-handed radio hosts, and that maybe that's where the quirkiness comes from this chair on the left side of the studio?
I mean, you might be onto something. As far as I know, I've only had one left-handed co-host, and he was/is a different type. So maybe that follows along with radio host as well.
I mean, Jamie, it's hard to trust left-handed people. They're just not right.
But
Jeff will be here all week. Make sure you tip him. All right, so we will have Red Raider Baseball on the air for you at 3:30 today. Balls and strikes at 4, and then we're hoping just a little bit of a short interlude, and then you'll have Texas Tech and UCF. But you can't worry about UCF because you've got Oklahoma State. So that's job one today is to take care of things at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and then. So basically, it's like this. You win this game, you win tonight, then you're in the Big 12 championship game. That's it. It's pretty simple right now. I mean, that's a really, really tough task, but that's pretty simple right now, right?
That's all you're doing. You're trying to just focus on Oklahoma State at this point, but yes, you would, and then you can throw into that very simple recipe there, Chuck, that you win that one and then you're in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Did anybody hurt their tournament chances yesterday by getting defeated, i.e., did Cincinnati have to win the Big 12 to get selected?
Man, they dropped like 8 spots after last night. They're in the 60s. I don't think they're getting in.
Okay.
I don't think they're getting in. So definitely they hurt themselves losing to the Red Raiders. If I'm Kansas State, I'm nervous. I think they're 47. I'm definitely nervous if I'm Kansas State.
And Kansas is in the same boat as you, right? They'd have to win the Big 12 to advance to the tournament.
Correct.
And same thing. UCF is in, though, right?
Yeah, I think UCF's in.
Okay.
This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
6:45 this morning on the Morning Drive. Today is 5/24/24. How about that? 5/24/24. Time for this day in sports history. And with that, here is Jeff McGuire.
Okay, let's start in 1926, guys. Finnish marathon runner Paavo Nurmi sets a world 3,000-meter record in Berlin, Germany, of 8 hours, 25 minutes, 4 seconds.
Yeah, the official marathon runner of the Morning Drive.
Very good, Chuck Heinz. Very, very good. The Flying Finn. 1930, New York Yankees legendary slugger Babe Ruth homers in both games of a doubleheader, beating the Philadelphia A's 10-6 and 11-1. It gives him 9 home runs in the week.
Wow.
1964, the longest home run in Baltimore Memorial Stadium history is hit by Harmon Killebrew. Goes 471 feet.
Killer. That's what they called him.
Oh, yeah, that baseball was dead. I don't think there's any argument there.
And right-handed. That's usually, I don't know what it just seems so odd about him. He was a first baseman in his later years, but right-handed and could mash the ball.
1976, Muhammad Ali TKOs Richard Dunn in 5 for the heavyweight boxing title in Munich. 1987, the Indianapolis 500. 47-year-old, now part-time owner, Al Unser Sr. wins his record-tying 4th Indy title in a huge upset.
Indy's on Sunday.
Well, that would make sense, since on this day in 1992, Indianapolis 500, Al Unser Jr. holds off Scott Goodyear to win by .043 seconds. It's the closest finished in Indy history. First, second-generation driver to win the race.
Big Al and Little Al, Jamie.
Yes, sir.
I love the Indy 500. I just got to find a way to make sure I can get it in on Sunday.
And in 2018, the number 6 Texas Tech Red Raider baseball team rebounded in the second game of the Big 12 championship with a 6-2 victory over Oklahoma State. Tech took the lead off of 2 home runs from junior Cameron Warren, the first tying the game and the second for a 3-1 lead that the Red Raiders never surrendered.
Potential pregame speaker today for the ball club, Jamie, maybe Mr. Warren?
I don't know, man. You'd have to ask Tim Tadlock that question.
Mm-hmm. When you see him over coffee, say, on this day in sports history, Coach, Cam had a couple home runs to beat Oklahoma State.
I don't think Cam's in town.
You don't? Okay.
I don't think so.
It's a 4-hour drive. We can get him there.
Yeah, I was going to say, fly him in. Zoom. We can zoom him in.
Happy National Asparagus Day.
Yuck.
I'll pass.
Happy birthday to Marcus Coleman. Turns 50 today.
Wow.
He was my first favorite Red Raider.
You guys were at Texas Tech together, Jamie.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to Priscilla Presley, who's 79. Bob Dylan, 83. Tracy McGrady, 45. Tommy Chung, 86. And Mr. Bringing Sexy back himself, Bartolo Colon, is 51.
Shocking that Tommy Chung is still with us.
Hey, man, he's just a relaxed kind of guy. Doesn't feel a whole lot of stress.
And I thought Priscilla was dead, but I guess not. Nope. There she is.
And on this day in 18...
Did she just walk in the studio?
Yes, she did, right, yeah. With Elvis, too,
Well, no, Elvis is definitely dead.
I know, but she brought his ghost with her.
Not 1883, guys. After 14 years, the Brooklyn Bridge over the East River opens, connecting the great cities of New York and Brooklyn for the first time in history. Thousands of residents of Brooklyn and Manhattan Island turned out to witness the dedication ceremony, which was presided over by President Chester A. Arthur and New York Governor Grover Cleveland. The Brooklyn Bridge was the largest suspension bridge ever built at that time.
Is it gone now?
No, there's just been longer suspension bridges.
I got you.
And that is this day in sports history.
All right, time for our local winning word, your chance to win weekly cash from us and the Home Zone, making your house a home over at 50th in Indiana. We'll give away cash up until June the 20th, and on that night over at Two Ducks, we'll give away $2,500. So we gave away $500 yesterday. We'll do it again on Tuesday. So if you didn't win yesterday, I wouldn't necessarily spend this weekend like you're going to win on Tuesday, but if you feel lucky enough that you can do that, then go right ahead. All you have to do is go to doublet973.com, enter this word I'm about to give you, and you could win just like the others have. Jamie, our winning word today at 6:45, and I'm going to pronounce this correctly for you. Cardinals. Cardinals is our winning word today at 6:51. Go to doublet973.com and enter that in, and you could be a winner. Go to doublet973.com and do that. It's from the Home Zone and Double T 97.3. All right. This Chuck thought a barge ran into the Brooklyn Bridge, I guess. Well, no, there have been bridges that have been replaced and blown up, and then they call them something different. So anyway, I just was curious. I was just curious.
I was going to make a barge not running into this bridge joke,
sure,
but
right.
I decided that would have been in bad taste.
So if yesterday wasn't your kid's last day of school, today certainly is. So keep that in mind as you're going through the school zones today, the mommies and daddies and grandparents and hangers-on and kids and 4-year-olds and all those kinds of things. At any rate, so just kind of keep that in mind. We took the Phenoms to lunch yesterday, JB, because Daddy Phenom had to go back to work, and daughter number 1 was still coaching up her class. So we were left with the Phenoms, which was good.
Please tell me that you don't call him Daddy Phenom.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't. I just kind of came up with that. I just kind of came up with that, but no, I don't. But anyway, we took them out, and I was in charge of the boys as they ordered their meal, and we got everything ordered properly, and then it was time to get the drinks, and the little Phenom, he wanted to mix his, little lemonade and Gatorade and Sprite and something else. I don't know. He had all these different things that he wanted. And the young Phenom told me that wasn't allowed. And I said, well, I'm here. We can do that. He's like, I'm going to go ask Grandma. I go, we don't need to ask Grandma. I can make this decision. He can have a mixed drink. So he mixed his drink, and the little Phenom had a big old smile on his face, and he didn't drop dead or anything like that. So everything worked out just fine. So his suicide drink was good.
Sounds like the older Phenom is a bit of a fun sucker. I mean, is he?
No,
is he like a Jamie Lent disciple or something?
He is. Yes,
people from mixing up their drink.
Yes, the young Phenom is a rule follower, and he wanted it stated quite clearly that wasn't allowed. And I'm like, well, it's going to be allowed today, buddy. We can do this. This is a special day. It's the last day of school. I'm going to go ask Grandma. No, we don't need to ask Grandma. We don't need Grandma putting the kibosh on anything. I think I can make this decision. He was questioning my authority, which is probably good, right?
No. He's 9. He shouldn't be questioning your authority.
Well, 11, but yeah. But
okay, 11. Whatever.
He was probably wise though to question my decision. Maybe he wasn't necessarily questioning my authority, maybe, but questioning my decision making. How about that? Now that's possible.
Mm-hmm.
All right, 6.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, 6:54 this morning here on the morning drive. We'll talk some baseball next here this morning. As Tech will play today against Oklahoma State. If you haven't heard,
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Good morning with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. All right, so question on the chat line, and this is kind of where I was going to go anyway, but it's really it's really messed up, man. I'm stunned that the college presidents, athletic directors, schools, all of us got put into the situation where the athletes basically backed you into this corner, and now you're settling for $2.8 billion for past damages, because now the NCAA and all the Power 5 conferences have basically agreed to settle. And as I understand it, and I'm not going to try to get into the weeds too much because I've tried to read on this and try to understand this, but the bottom line is this. The NCAA over the next 10 years is going to pay $277 million annually and will fund payments to those that were denied name, image, and likeness agreements in the past on this House versus the NCAA settlement. And they're going to fund that in part by taking away future revenue opportunities from schools like Texas Tech, and let's just say it's $1 million a year or whatever. Okay, but they're gonna take from everybody. So they're gonna spread the sandwich, so to speak, amongst all the NCAA Division I schools. And then also as part of this, the schools now will directly pay the athletes for coming and competing in the various sports. Now, how this relates to sports other than football and basketball in terms of, is it equal money? No, it's probably not going to be equal money. Is it going to affect roster sizes? Yes, it is. For instance, in football, you could now have you could see yourself getting down to 100 scholarship players instead of 120. And you could make the case that do they need the 120? And basically what the thought is, it's going to cost schools $20 million a year to do this. Well, a lot of these schools operate off on a zero-sum budget anyway, so now you got to figure out, well, where am I going to come up with $20 million? And again, just using basic numbers here. So let's just say a school like Texas Tech, you say to Kirby Hocutt and his people, all right, starting 2025, we're gonna pay the athletes, and it's going to come out of our coffers by hook or by crook. And $20 million, go scratch $20 million into your budget, and now scratch $20 million from all your expenses so that you can pay the athletes. I mean, it is a hell of a hill to climb, Jamie.
Yeah.
And so
are you upset that they settled?
Yeah. Well,
did you think they were going to win the case?
No. Here's what I'm upset about. I feel like that you've made a bunch of concessions and not gotten anything in return. And here's the return concession that I would have asked for. I would have said, if you're a student, quote, student athlete, and you're compensated over, I don't know what the number is, okay, whether it's $100,000 or $250,000, whatever the number is. Let's just say you're compensated over $200,000 a year, and so that's still going to be a relatively small number. That you're no longer eligible for books, tuition, room, and board. If you by accepting $200,000 a year, you're responsible for your education.
I imagine that's coming, but
no,
I imagine that's coming to some degree.
No.
But we're going back to this case, though. If you didn't think they were going to win, which I don't think anybody with a brain thought they were going to win, they settled so they wouldn't have to pay more, because they were going to be in the billions.
No, you're right. And somebody points out that there's 85, not 120, but you could have a bunch of guys on your. There's going to be there's going to be people that are on your football team now that are not going to be in 2025, 2030, because you're not going to need that number, and you're not going to have the money to have that number, whether it's preferred walk-on status or you're going to give this guy this or this guy that. There's just not going to be that money available. So you're going to trim rosters by doing this, because somebody asked, by doing this, would this help baseball? No, this is not going to help baseball. Not at all. No. Baseball's, like Jamie said, this person said, so JL baseball is screwed. Well, I mean, you could say basically sports other than probably football and men's basketball, and even that are kind of going, okay, we got to make sure that we get ours, and how's that going to work? Because we may not be getting ours like we got ours in 2025 or 2026 or 2027.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to benefit football players and basketball players, and it feels like mostly just them. And I'm telling you, it feels like in the future, and I'm not speaking just about Texas Tech, I'm talking about the future of in other conferences or other schools and across other conferences and across the country. I mean, unless you are, your athletic department is just rolling in the dough, and, maybe some of those are in the SEC where they're getting huge money. Man, if I'm a volleyball coach or a tennis coach or a track coach or whatever, I'm nervous.
Mm-hmm.
I'm nervous because I think this is going to cost Division I universities athletic teams. They will have to cut teams to be able to make all this work.
Yeah, I mean, the NCAA has had, there have been minimums placed on how many sports that you have to be within a certain conference or whatever. I mean, at some point in time, they're going to start waiving that kind of stuff. And, if your sport isn't self-sustaining in some form or fashion, you may go away. They don't even know what all the ramifications of this yet are. So, I mean, there's going to be speculation and things like that. But I mean, the bottom line is this: your athletic department basically has just been put into a situation where, starting in 2025, you're going to have a payroll of $20 million. that's what you're going to have as an expense item that you don't have today. And when you operate basically on spending almost everything that you get or that you're projected to get, because bear in mind, it wasn't that long ago that every department in the university, as I understood it, I say a lot of departments were contributing to the athletic department because of the debt. Now, Tech got away from that, 7, 8, 9 years ago, whatever. But still, you're not that far away from being in that position where the rest of the university had to help fund the athletic department because of projects that you had going on. So, yeah, it's not good. I mean, and look, I understand because of the proliferation of the TV money and the salaries that have exploded for particularly football and men's basketball coaches. The players have looked at this and go, why not me?
Let's just take the money from them then.
Yeah, well,
let's just take the money from them then.
Yeah, I mean, you do have to wonder at what point in time does that haircut start to happen? Because, I mean, is a guy really worth $10 million a year or $6 million a year or even $5 million? And you got to go, hey man, I know you love being here, but we need you to take a haircut. You think you can make it on $2 million a year?
If he was that good, why are we having to pay his players $1 million a year?
Right. Yeah. So, Jared says this: don't we pay around $20 million in scholarships now? I would assume they just become employees. Now they have to pay to play. Nope, that's not how it works. Somebody wants to know, how does Title IX affect the giving of the money out? Yeah, great question. They don't know the answer to that question yet.
You can guarantee the women's basketball team is going to get the same thing the men's basketball team is going to get.
But it won't get the same. It won't, maybe in benefits, but it won't get the same money. Like, you're not going to pay a women's basketball player $1 million. Well, I don't know. You may. There's one here in town that you may do that with, but we'll see. Yeah, it's going to be very interesting to see what happens. But the bottom line, Jamie's right. There's going to be sports that are cut or that are going to be diminished, whether it's their travel or the type of player you'll be able to bring in or things along those lines. It's not going to be the same as a result of what's going on. And I'm not saying what has been going on is all absolutely right, because obviously there were some things that were wrong with the system. But man, the old teeter-totter is balanced to the other side like it's never been. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. But it's going to be crazy, so just buckle up.
The Morning Drive podcast from Double T 97.3 is presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Jamie's question of the day on Double T 97.3 is brought to you by Connecticut of West Texas.
All right, gentlemen. I think we asked this question once before, but it's been quite a while ago, so I'm gonna ask it again. And I hate to just continue with the subject that we're on, because you guys know how much I enjoy the subject. But I'm gonna ask this question anyways to you. With the changes that have come across the college sports landscape, I just ask you, if you could do away with one or the other, which would you do away with? And that's the money side of it with NIL and or revenue sharing. Combine those into two things, or into one thing, I should say. And then, or would you take away the transfer portal, or changes to the make massive changes to the transfer portal? What would be the one that you would take away?
Well, you're not going to be able to put the money portion of this back in the proverbial tube, so to speak. So you've got to find
and you're not going to be able to take away the transfer portal either. So we're not talking realistic here. We're just talking if you could fix one or change one. Which one would you change?
Okay, so I'm going to speak from maybe a realistic kind of side of things. Okay, I think it'll be realistic.
There's a first.
I know. I think you'll be able. I think they will come up with some kind of language from a contract standpoint that will require a player to, and we're talking football and men's basketball here. Okay, that's really what we're talking about. it will come down to at some point in time that there will be a contract. There will be a basic bargaining agreement contract that will state your agreement is for X number of years, whether it's 2 or whatever. Let's just say it's 2, and if you leave after 1, you forfeit some of the money that you're gonna. There's a clawback, but I don't even know if that's possible because everybody's going to spend all their money. So, I think there'll be a tightening of the transfer portal, Jamie. And I think at some point in time, it'll be really interesting to see if the government says you're not going to be able to not call these guys employees, and that'll even make it more dicey if you have taxes and FICA and Social Security and all that kind of stuff taken out. So I don't know. I think something will happen with the transfer portal more so than the money side of things.
I know I'm on the wrong side of this. I like the concept of NIL. I don't like the way it's been implemented. Let's make this clear. But the concept that these student athletes who are doing a lot for the university's publicity to get something out of it, I appreciate. And it goes back to when a student athlete couldn't make any money on their name, image, and likeness, but the university could. I had a problem with that. I didn't know how to fix it then, and I don't think the NCAA fixed it now. But the concept, I'm for. The transfer portal, I think, gets fixed with NIL. And what I mean by that is that you change it from just 1-year deals to 3-year deals. And that's how that works. There's a reason that Dak Prescott right now is the starting quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys and not, say, the Minnesota Vikings. Because he's got a contract that says he can't just go play for them right now.
Yeah.
Now, he can be released from that contract and then go forth and conquer. And you can renegotiate a contract. I mean, all those things are still capable. I think that's where this is heading. So I'm going to say that we're going to fix the transfer portal side of this. But I think it's going to be through NILs changing to contracts, changing to short-term deals, three-year deals kind of thing that enable that to eliminate some of it.
Okay, so my answer is I'm 100% on board. I agreed with a lot of what Jeff was saying. I'm 100% on board with take away the ease to transfer, and once you go to a place that you commit to them and you stay there for a while and you're not swayed to leave by somebody trying to pay you more elsewhere. Okay, so I would want the transfer portal to go away. I also feel like there's some sense in the universities benefiting and making money off of a player, but they are not able to do so. I mean, the initial stuff that we talked about, you know, the example that we always give is Nick Shimanek making chairs and not being able to do that, or some guy doing YouTube videos and making money off of that at wherever it was, Florida State or some school in Florida. That was absolutely ridiculous. Okay, ridiculous. So to me, I can get behind a player that has come to our school and that has played here for a few years and has done great things for us, and to see him rewarded and get a better NIL deal after he's done great things. I can live with that. I absolutely can. It's just the bouncing around and leaving one school for the other to get paid more that just drives me absolutely nuts. Now, what where I think Jeff is wrong is the belief that at some point you are going to be able to limit the way they can transfer, because the NCAA has done everything to say we cannot stop these kids from doing it. We have to give them total control and total power. Okay, these student athletes, there's no way they're going back. No way. Not going to happen. Not going to happen.
Yes.
Now, you can try to, as these donors who are signing these NIL deals with guys, to say, hey, you know, you only get this at the end of the year if you're on the roster next year and all that. Maybe that can happen. That's going to have to be with the donors themselves making that commitment. Okay. But The NCAA is not fixing that, and they are not fixing guys transferring. They have shown we have no power. We are so scared of litigation of these student athletes that we are going to allow them to do everything that works for them. Okay? They're not going back from that. That's just unrealistic.
Yeah, and the other thing too I was thinking about, is if you did some kind of multi-year deal, the school's going to need some protection too, because not everybody that you sign is going to pan out. So they're going to want to be able to get out of their deals as well. Somebody asked, so could you see buyouts if a player leaves one school to the other? Then the school he's leaving to pays the buyout. Maybe so. I mean, it's as close to getting to professional sports as you can without it calling professional sports. The other thing is, I understand it.
But in professional sports, you sign a contract. There's obligations to stay there.
Yeah.
Just like Jeff was talking about with Dak Prescott.
Yeah.
But that's not what we have in college.
Yeah.
We have told these student athletes that they have, no responsibility to stick with what they promised or kind of be loyal to
Your daily dose of sports and fun. This is the Morning Drive Podcast from Double T 97.3, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction.
Great to have you with us today on Lubbock Sports Station, Double T 97.3 and Double T 97.3.com with Jamie Lent and Jeff McGuire. I'm Chuck Heinz. Come to you from the First United Bank studio. Jamie's in Arlington still. And, inning in the seventh, you go to you pick up a couple of runs in your half of the seventh on a home run, and it's a 4-2 ball game. And you walk the bases loaded, and you have a wild pitch, and you have runs that get walked in. I mean, you just kind of handed them 3 runs there. They didn't even have to work, and you end up losing the ball game 7-2. They get 7 runs on 8 hits. You get 2 runs on 6 hits. So it's not an insurmountable task today by any stretch of the imagination.
No, I don't think that you're, a junior high team playing against an MLB team here with Oklahoma State. I'm not suggesting that at all. So, yeah, but you got to play good baseball. And, we've seen the team do that at times this year, but we haven't seen a ton of consistency with that. So I really like the fact that, you play of your 2 wins here. You've played really good baseball. You've been sound defensively. You haven't given up a ton of free passes. You've hit with men in scoring position when given the opportunity. So, but then again, in your 1 loss, you look at all the free passes that you gave up in that game. You didn't come through with the opportunities with runners in scoring position. So it's kind of one of those, which Red Raider team will we get today?
Weren't you like 0 for 11 or something in that Oklahoma State game?
You were actually 0 for 11, not like 0 for 11.
Yeah, you were actually. I sound like the 16-year-old there? Like?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah. Like? Yeah, we were like this. Yeah, we were like that. The Big 12 tournament continues this morning with Kansas and TCU playing. The winner of that game gets Oklahoma next. The loser of that game gets to go home. So they're trying to fight for the right to get to Saturday. Oklahoma is in a pretty enviable position. Of course, that's what happens when you win, right? Because all they have to do is win a ball game at 12:30 today, and they're playing for a championship tomorrow.
Yep, and same thing goes for UCF tonight.
Let me ask you this about Oklahoma State. Is this, in addition to trying to get themselves into a game tonight with UCF, is this playing for home field next week as well, Jamie?
For which school?
Oklahoma State.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
So they're trying to secure a regional host a regional. Both Oklahoma schools are.
And then for TCU today, do you feel like this is a path for them to get into the tournament, or do you think they're in already?
I think they're in. I think they're in already. I mean, the projections I'm looking at today, two different ones have Kansas State as last four in. I saw one of them, Baseball America, had Kansas as the last four out. So maybe if the Jayhawks play well today, they would have a shot. They'll get a chance against TCU and then possibly against Oklahoma if they win.
Yeah. We get this, which we've discussed this, but just kind of, here it is in black and white as well. Chuck, we're not flush with pitching, so it's unlikely to be a clean pitching day. The offense will have to show up and win this game, just reality. Do you agree with that?
I absolutely agree with that. I mean, as I just said, I feel like this is a day your offense is going to have to win it.
Yeah. 8:08 this morning here on the morning drive.
I mean, we just really need to copy the first two innings from yesterday, right?
Mm-hmm.
We'll get 8 runs in the first two, and everybody take a deep breath. That worked out well. Let's try that again.
Well, and but here's the thing for Oklahoma State. They are flush on pitching. So if something's not working right for them, early on, they're likely to go to the next man up, and the next man up would be pretty good. Isn't that right, Jamie?
Yeah, no doubt. They have plenty of quality arms in Oklahoma State's pitching staff. That's one of the reasons why I think they're primed for a deep run in the postseason. So, again, you're going to have a big offensive day against a pretty good staff if you're going to win this thing.
All right, so the Red Raiders and Oklahoma State will play today's scheduled broadcast time 3:30, and then first pitch at 4. If the Red Raiders win, they'll play UCF tonight. That one is at 7:30. So hopefully, if you're hearing the Rangers on tonight, that's bad news for the Red Raiders. Okay, if you're hearing the Red Raiders, that's not bad news for the Rangers because they've been in the tank for the past few days. So they've got plenty of baseball ahead of them. For the Red Raiders,
is their season over yet?
Season is not over yet. No, it's not over. Not over yet. And hopefully the Red Raiders season will not be over.
This has been the Morning Drive Podcast, presented by Cantex Roofing and Construction. Check out our library of Double T 97.3 podcasts at doublet97.3.com.